Flu shot for me equals hospital visit, so not worth it. Zoe from Australia. Hi, Zoe. Welcome to the Dr. Osborne Show. Missy, what is GBS again? GBS is Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a form of neurological autoimmunity, and again, it can be life-threatening. 1 in 20 people who develop Guillain-Barré from a flu vaccine actually end up dying. So, there is a risk of death. Angela says, my aunt died from the flu shot. I mean, there it is. I didn't make that up. Yeah, so this is great. Cindy just put up a link to the actual ingredients from the FDA on the flu shot. So thank you for putting that up. It's actually a CDC link. So you can actually look. This stuff here is all real, guys and gals. This is, you can go to that. I'd probably go to that link and actually find those ingredients listed there. Okay. So Veronica says they did not test for any allergies. I asked my kid's pediatrician because I had not vaccinated my 2 younger ones, and he pulled the vaccine insert pamphlets, and he was literally reading the pamphlet while you were in the office. Wow. Yeah, that's my point. Again, it's not that. Well, he said they no longer had aluminum and mercury in them, or maybe one of them had aluminum still. It was awkward. My daughter has never been so sick in her life than when they gave her the flu shot primer 3 years ago. Body aches and fever. I never took her back for the actual shot. Yeah, I mean, that, again, you should be able to ask these questions and get an intelligent answer without the doctor actually trying to read the vaccine ingredients but not being quite so sure, but also being so confident that it won't hurt you. It's like, I don't really know what's in it, but I'm really confident that it's not going to hurt you. That doesn't really ring true. Okay. Yeah, Marie is saying, I've seen so many of the patients I took care of with Guillain-Barré all of who had the flu shot. Do I still recommend the vitamin D? I think I answered that question. I absolutely still recommend the vitamin D protocol, again, provided that your kidney function is not compromised. It's a great protocol. I actually just did mine as a preventative. Okay, Michelle, don't use the green marker. It's hard to see. Point taken, Michelle. Will not use the green marker in the future. Actually, we're working on a new format for our board, so it's going to be so much easier to see with every color. Guys are going to be excited about the new format that we come out with here in the next few months. Okay. Magdalena wants to know, how much vitamin E should one take? So it's very safe to do higher doses of vitamin A, and that's a great question. Let's be clear on what vitamin A is, because I had this question come up the other day. There's vitamin A, and then there's what's called provitamin A, or some would call it pre-vitamin A. So if you've ever read the term carotenoid, carotenoids are pre-A, meaning they convert into A. So if you've heard the word beta-carotene, that's a form, carotene, carotenoid, it's a form of pre-vitamin A. What happens is when you take in carotenoids, these are things like carrots, vegetables predominantly that have orange, yellow, red colors, those are rich in carotenoids, the family of plant compounds that when you eat them, your gut can convert them into vitamin A. So these carotenoids are pre-vitamin A, they're not actually vitamin A, and these will not be strong enough to get your vitamin A levels up high enough to really give your immune system the boost. So don't think that just by juicing a bunch of carotenoid-based veggies that you're going to get your A up high enough for what we're talking about here. Now, these are non-toxic too. Some people say, well, isn't vitamin A toxic? Long-term high doses of vitamin A can be, but it's not as toxic as the press that it gets. Kind of like vitamin D. It's not as toxic as the press that it gets. Carotenoids are completely non-toxic because your body can only convert so much of them to vitamin A. So most forms, if you look at your supplement, it will say vitamin A as, and then it will say, usually like carotenoids or beta-carotene or some form of carotene-based compound. But if you're talking about true vitamin A, we're talking about retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is vitamin A. It's after the conversion, right? And this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about pre-vitamin A that you take. I'm talking about actual retinoic acid. And so the dose is 25 to 50,000 international units. Again, a day for a few days. We'd go 3 days at that type of dose. You don't really need to go longer than that, but that is going to give a really supercharge to your immune system in terms of the vitamin A. Again, you have to make sure the vitamin A is in a retinoic acid form. It will not work if it's in a carotenoid form. It won't have the same effect. Okay, I like this question. If you've just tested your vitamin D levels and you're already over 80 and you start to catch a cold or something, would you still take supplemental D or just concentrate on the others? I'd concentrate on the others. More specifically, if my D was already over 80, I don't know that there's a great benefit in terms of making it higher than that. At least there's not one reported in literature that I've read and research that I've read. So a lot of you are asking about shedding, and the reality is, yes, that if you get a flu shot, that virus is live. You can shed that virus, and you can make other people sick with it, and that's just one more reason to add to the potential over here. What are the potential side effects? That's what I mentioned earlier about, when you go get an injection and you get that virus, and then you go hang out with your cousin or your neighbor's baby to see their newborn baby or something, you've actually injected yourself with a live virus and have the potential to give exposure. I'm sorry to hear that. Karen says that she's so glad I'm talking about Guillain-Barré because she's still suffering from the effects of it when she got it in 2003. Okay, let's see here. Okay, yeah, I like that. Wendy says, eat liver, lots of vitamin A. Very, very true. Vitamin A, if you ever liver or cod liver oil is a great source of dietary vitamin A. Okay, let's see. I've got to switch over here. Jason says, I heard flu is very bad this year. Flu is very bad every year if you get it. Look, the flu is not worse one year than the other. That's kind of, I don't know. I'm going to call it what it is. I think it's propaganda. I think people get hyped up and they get scared, right before cold and flu season. I think the media goes on this, this crazy, this crazy campaign of make sure you get your flu shot. That's what all the doctors and the pediatricians and everyone else is saying. And a lot of times they say it's going to be really bad this year. You can't predict it. It's completely non-predictable. The only thing that you have control over is to make sure that you are supporting your own health. There's 7 fundamentals that if you take action on every day and you consistently do these things, you're going to do the best at giving your immune system the best chance at fighting the flu. And that's, number 1, make sure you're sleeping. Sleeping every day, sleeping enough, sleeping the right quantity of time. For most people, that's 7 to 8 hours as a minimum between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So sleep's very critical. Number 2 is eating the right diet, eating the right food. There's so many, our society is so backwards when it comes to food. We're giving kids, hyper-dyed sugars and treats, and we're calling that lunch, and we're calling that dinner, right? A lot of people, you look at the macaroni and cheese. What kills me is there's a major company producing macaroni and cheese, and they came out with this new commercial campaign because they said, hey, now our macaroni and cheese is no longer going to have this and this and this, and they listed out like 3 or 4 different chemicals and dyes, and I'm like, well, why did you ever have it if you really cared about the health of the people that you were serving and taking money from and feeding? Why would you ever have had those ingredients in your food product? But again, we live in the social paradigm where it's just common for people to eat garbage and call it food, and the reality is one of the best things you can do is eat healthy. So eating healthy, real food is one of your best protections against influenza. The other thing that you make sure that you do is get sunshine as you can. Now, again, when we go into the winter, it's a little bit harder to do. Some people use sun lamps. Some people plan their vacations during winter months where they can go to some place closer to the equator or some place tropical where they can get more vitamin D. And so that could be an option for you as well. I know sometimes during Thanksgiving we choose to do that as a family. We choose to go on a vacation where there's more sunshine exposure because we like the sun, and 2, we want to make sure that when we come back we're not suffering from that seasonal affective disorder quite to the severity that many people have when they stay in those cold winter months for four months on end, especially in those longer winters. So again, food, sunshine, we said sleep, exercise. Maintaining regular exercise is very critical. It's the best way that you can build a strong immune system is to have lean muscle mass. That's why working out is so important, because the more muscle mass that you have, the stronger your immune system is. That's why when people do get the flu and it knocks them out really, really hard and they're down in bed, they waste away. They lose 10, 15, 20 pounds. They emaciate because their body is stealing from the muscle to create proteins to fight the virus. So if you start with strong muscles, if you start with adequate muscle tone, you actually improve your immune system's reserve tank and for when you do have need of it. So, maintaining that exercise is very, very critical, very, very important. Drinking clean water is very important. So running your water through filters to minimize your chemical exposure. Breathing clean air, same thing. Running your air through filters inside your home to minimize your exposure to toxins. Those are super critical. And then the last is stress management. And if you're following those 7 habits on a regular daily basis, that will far infinitely exceed anything a flu shot could ever do for you. And again, after we've talked today, I think we could argue that a flu shot doesn't really do much for anyone other than create the potential for risk and downside. Let's see, we got Matthew Burley from Australia, Perth, Australia. What's up, Matthew? Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Let's see here. Clean, healthy diet keeps me from getting sick. Love to hear that. That's coming in from It's Chels. I don't know if that's your name or if that's your channel or your handle, right? Christopher Wilson says removing high fructose corn syrup from the diet, changing to reverse osmosis water, and eating organic whole foods impacted his vitality, and no reason to get the flu shot anymore. Yeah, every time my dad gets the flu shot, he ends up with the flu. I'm telling you, that's what I saw time and time again working in a hospital and working in a medical clinical environment. Question, doesn't vitamin D and vitamin K2 go hand in hand? They complement one another, correct? Yeah, they can, but you don't, if you're doing something like this, you don't have to take vitamin K with it. This is a short-term, high-dose vitamin D. Again, the whole premise is to build and bolster your immune system's function, and you're not going to cause calcification of your arteries by taking a few days of high-dose vitamin D therapy. What are my thoughts on vitamin C therapy in the IV? You got to make sure the IV doesn't contain corn. A lot of them are dextrose bags where they use a dextrose solution, and that dextrose is derived from genetically modified corn. So know your ingredients, know what you're putting in. Just like you want to know what's in the flu shot, you ask the question, what's in the IV bag and where did it come from? Before you go and just assume that it's all natural and all safe. By the way, all natural and all safe, or all natural doesn't necessarily mean safe. A lot of people think that the connotation all natural is somehow devoid of danger. There are a lot of things in nature that are poisons. There are a lot of things in nature that can create problems. So again, don't look for the term all natural, look for the terms and then read what they are and then research them, look them up and make sure they match what is right for you. Yes, you're right, Kim. Kim says it's not live if it's a shot, it's attenuated. It's live if it's nasal. Yes, there are different types of delivery mechanisms for the flu shot. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, let's see here. We got Andrew from San Bernardino chiming in and Kristen from Pennsylvania. Welcome, guys and gals. So here's another question. I want to make sure I answer this one because Barbara wants to know, if you have an autoimmune disease, is it safe that attacks your organs? If you have an autoimmune disease that attacks your organs, is it safe to get a flu shot? I'm of the opinion, and I've seen this happen time and time again with autoimmunity, that if you have autoimmune disease, you are not a candidate for the flu shot. Now, I know what I'm saying is going to be vastly different from what most doctors are going to say on the topic, but an autoimmune disease in and of itself, yes, can it predispose you to infection? It can, but injecting yourself with a vaccination is not going to reduce your risk of infection. And if you've already got autoimmunity, there's some research that says that you're at greater risk when you have autoimmunity of developing additional autoimmunity as a result of injecting yourself with adjuvants, and that's what ASIA is all about. Again, ASIA is autoimmune inflammatory syndrome induced by adjuvants, and there are cases where people with autoimmune disease who get vaccinated, and not just the flu shot but others as well, actually end up with multiple forms of autoimmunity or complicate their autoimmunity. So, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it at all, because again, first of all, it doesn't fix your immune system, one, and it doesn't fix the autoimmune problem, and it can actually make it worse. Okay. I think I got all the questions. I think that might be a record tonight. Okay, here's one more I didn't get to. Kristen wants to know, what's the difference between K2 and taking vitamin D with a little oil? I'm not quite sure I understand your question, Kristen. K2 and vitamin D are completely different substances. Some people will take them combined together, vitamin D and vitamin K2, in a base of oil, like medium chain triglyceride oil. But I'm not sure I understand your question. You might just differentiate that for me, and we'll see if we can do our best. Leonardo says, talk about colloidal silver, Doc. Would it be a good solution if one were to catch the flu? It can be, but it depends. Colloidal silver can be an effective tool for infection. There's a lot of application for silver in bacteria and viral issues. So many people actually do. They take colloidal silver during the cold and flu season if they find themselves coming down with something, and it can be effective. I've seen it be very, very effective against upper respiratory problems. When people have chronic sinusitis and issues, oftentimes we'll use a nasal mister with colloidal silver, and that will clean it right up and get them feeling in tip-top shape. So, yeah, colloidal silver can be an option. Good question. Oh, okay, we got more questions. I didn't get them all answered. I don't think anybody knows, Connie. Connie's saying, this new polio type disease, is it from flu shots? I don't think anybody knows at this point, or could make that claim or make that correlation. I think it's too soon to say. What about the shingles vaccination or vaccine? I don't recommend them. I've seen people get shingles vaccines and end up developing shingles. Some people, the fear is if you get shingles, it's so painful. And it can be. It's a very, very painful neurological. It affects the neurological dermatomes and typically in the spine of people and creates a blister-like lesion across the back. That's adult onset shingles, not chickenpox. But I still don't recommend it. I still don't recommend getting that particular type of vaccine because, again, I'm a bigger proponent of do your immune system right and don't live in fear. Vaccines are not guarantees. They're not. There's no way you can prove their effectiveness. And some people will get the shingles and some people won't get the shingles. Many people who get the shingles have a shingles vaccine, and some who get it don't have a shingles vaccine. So again, I don't think we can claim that the vaccine is the end-all be-all answer to not getting them. Yeah, there's a push for that because it's new. Anytime we come up with a new vaccine, we're going to push it. Understand that the vaccine schedule in 1983, and don't quote me exactly on this, but it was somewhere around the neighborhood, I think, of 17 vaccines. And today, and I think, again, don't quote me on this because I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think it was about 17 vaccines in 1983, and then by 2006 it went up to 53. So you don't go and more than triple the doses of things. And again, we don't have less of those infectious diseases more so than what we did in 1983. So there's not been an improvement in overall infectious disease as a result of that massive new vaccine schedule. I think the bigger issue is that in 1986, the U.S. government took away all legal liability from vaccine manufacturers. And so now you can't sue them if they hurt you. So if you get a vaccine, you have no legal recourse to go and say that vaccine injured me. Your only legal recourse is to get with the government, and they have something set up called a vaccine injury fund. A lot of people don't even know that exists, but it's paid out. It's paid out an awful lot of money over the last many years. Okay, I think I did get them all answered. One more. Sandy says, what would happen if a person has candida and gets a shot? specify Candida and gets a shot of what? A shot of the flu vaccine or a shot of another type of vaccine? Look, I think if you've got Candida, you need to address the Candida before you start thinking about injecting any kind of vaccine into your body. Address the Candida at its core first, because by addressing the Candida, you will, by default, improve your immune system's capacity to protect you from other types of infectious microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, etc. So it's to me, it makes better sense to do it from that approach. All right. So I think I covered all the questions. Let's wrap this up with those of you who are new, and maybe this show is new to you tonight. I want you to go over to glutenfreesociety.org and you can sign up for we're the world's number one newsletter for people trying to follow a gluten-free diet. Sign up for that and we'll send you a free gluten-free survival kit. No charge to you. It's going to be infinitely helpful on your journey, on your gluten-free journey. For those of you who are also new, make sure you pick up a copy of No Grain, No Pain. You can pick that up at Barnes & Noble. You can also pick that up at any major bookstore retailer or on Amazon.com. That's No Grain, No Pain. It's my definitive guide, my diet guide to helping you restore your immune system, helping you regain your life back. So if you haven't read that, I recommend that as beginner reading for additional shows as you come onto the show and want to participate in the community. And additionally, remember what our mission is. What is our mission? If anybody can type in what our mission is in the feed, if you can type in how many people we're trying to reach and how many people that we're going to help, I'm going to send you a free copy of No Grain, No Pain to give away as a gift. So if you can type in, and that's first come, first serve, how many people are we trying to help and how many people are we trying to reach in our mission? Let's see here. I'm waiting for that answer. Still don't see that answer coming in. I'm trying to see how good you guys pay attention. Still waiting. How many people are we trying to reach with our mission and how you can help us reach that mission? So Heather says 100, but that's a little bit shy because I think we hit 100 tonight. Pamela, you're the winner. Pamela says 100 million, and that is exactly right. Pamela, you're going to get a copy. Get with Alan, or Alan will get with you. We're going to send you a free copy of No Grain, No Pain, gratis on us, to give to a friend, to give to a relative, to give to someone you care about and love. And again, as always, make sure you're sharing this information. We're trying to reach 100 million people. The only way we do that is with your caring and sharing. So if you've got a family friend or a family member whose immune system is in the toilet and they're considering the flu shot and they're going to benefit from this information, make sure you hit that share button, copy that URL, and paste it and send it to them via email, however that is, however that works for you. And then also want to make sure that you subscribe and sign up to get notifications when we go live. We do go live every Monday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain Show. And we've got some major exciting changes coming up. So if you make sure that you hit the button above, hit that little icon above where you can get notifications when we do go live so that you can stay abreast about all these new and exciting changes that we've got coming up. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Monday night for Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Take care.
Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.